Okay.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. So this is another Unlayered Walk with Sarah. As you know, I always do this, in person. We go to the park, but because it's really cold outside today, I decided to do this indoors once again. So I have my very good friend here. It's really a pleasure and an honor to even have him, out of his busy schedule to be here for us to kind of discuss about food safety. He's a really good friend of mine. He's a global director of food safety, but I'm going to give you a formal introduction. But before we get started, we're going to be talking together. I have a couple of questions for him. He's going to be answering about 5 questions. And then when we're done, if you guys have any questions, you can just drop it in the comment section and I will read it out to you and to read it out to him, and then he will answer it. So once again, please everybody be muted. Make sure you're all muted. We don't want any distractions because this is going to be recorded, and it's going to be recorded and saved in my private Facebook group. A lot of you already know my group. So if you want to go back and revisit, because there's going to be a lot of content shared, you can go back and listen to it. So let me just introduce Dr. Odungbemi is a distinguished food scientist with a PhD in food safety. He leads the global food safety team at one of the world's greatest food manufacturing companies. As a prolific instructor, he teaches numerous courses on food safety, quality control, quality assurance, and continuous improvement. Dr. Odunbemi has a deep understanding of food science and frequently discusses the impact of nutrition on our daily lives. Additionally, it serves as an adjunct professor teaching various food science related subjects. In addition to his professional achievements, Dr. Odubemi is actively involved in community outreach programs where he educates the public on food safety and nutrition. He has collaborated with various organizations to promote food safety awareness, and he has been featured in several media outlets for its expertise. So let's welcome Dr. Odungbemi to our show today. It's a show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you so much. So, as I said, I have a couple of questions for you. So as you know, the people that I coach, and I'm a nurse practitioner, but also a transformational health coach, and I help professionals to just improve their health and lose weight and whatnot. So I deal with a lot of busy professionals, trying to juggle work-life balance, kids and things like that. So some of them struggle, well, a lot of us struggle with understanding food labels and the quality. So, when choosing the right foods when they're trying to go to grocery shopping, what should they be looking for on the food labels to ensure that they are getting high quality, nutritious, and safe foods? Like, what should we focus on when we go to Kroger, Publix, or whatever? What should we really be paying attention to?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me on and starting off with that question. Number one, let's establish it. Nothing beats an homemade meal. But even in your homemade meals, you still have to go buy your groceries, go buy your ingredients, bring it home and cook. So the first thing that you always want to start looking for are the ingredient declaration on that product you're buying. And this is a simple rule. We always talk about the concept of clean labels. You want a product that the ingredients are as few as possible. To a layman, we will always say if you pick up a product and you read the ingredients and the ingredient declaration says some very huge chemical compound that you cannot produce, that is a telltale sign. It means those kinds of chemicals are actually synthetic, created by somebody in a laboratory. So the first thing you always want to look at when you buy product in a grocery store is the ingredient declaration. What's the component? You see some of them, the ingredient chemicals that are synthetic cooked up in a laboratory. So that's always the number one thing. Then in that ingredient deck, there are a couple other things you want to start looking for. What amount of added sugars? In nutrition, We typically talk about three types of ingredients that you want to limit the consumption. And the number one on the list is always sugar. So you see some products have naturally occurring sugar, yet you're adding more sugar. Taste, we know, satiety, but the body do not need more sugar. So sugar becomes number one. The second one is the oils. What kind of oils do you have? Saturated oil, polysaturated oils, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, all these oils in the food. Why do we have those oils? So you want to start reading. And lastly, is the talk of sodium. We know what sodium does to the body, water retention. You don't want too much water retention in the body. So sodium. So when you're looking at your grocery item, whatever item you're picking up the store of whatever store you're at, you want to start looking at the ingredient deck. Then you want to look at the calories, almost all reference panel, NFP will call it, nutrition fact panels on the all ingredients. Has that calorie concept. How many of calories do you need of that particular product? Let me tell you something. People count calories, but calories work in different ways. 300 grams of protein is different from 300 grams of sodium. Your body needs more protein, but needs less sodium. So if you're counting calories, you're going to be way off. So you look at that product. Okay, is this a vitamin? Is this a protein? Is it a carbohydrate? What is it? And how many of it does your body need? Then you start begin to look at the serving size. How many of that are you supposed to consume within a time period? The government has given us two concepts. We call the first of them the RAC, reference amount customarily consumed. And we have the RDV, reference daily value. That how many of these are you supposed to have in your body every day? So when you're buying, you want to know that how many, when I see some people take a pack of a product and they finish everything in one sitting, you're not supposed to do that. So you probably look at that vis-a-vis, how many of these do I need to have in my body at every particular time? So anytime you're going through your grocery aisle, you're trying to get product on the road for whatever it is, you have to begin to look at these things. How many of these do I need? How many of these has clean labels? How many of these has good nutrients? How many of these do I need? And really, do you need to buy those type of product? Is it healthy for us? The good choice for us right now is for people to start knowing that a lot of diseases have their underlying effect from nutrition. What you eat determines your lifestyle in terms of health. So begin to understand that how does my food now begin to influence my lifestyle? Do I really need to eat this? I was talking of a story of a long time ago. I visited somebody and that person was making an omelette and she cracked 6 eggs. And the question was that, is this for the whole family? No, just for me alone. I'm like, and you're cracking 6 eggs to fry for yourself. That's way too much, you know. I know it's protein, but guess what? The albumin, the globulin, everything, and the eggs, put all those together. That could be a source of cholesterol if you have it too much.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that how many do you need? And that's where we start talking about portion control. You live to eat. You don't eat to live. You eat to live. You don't live to eat. So making sure that you just put in your body just what you need. And those are some of the things you need to start looking for.
That's really good. That's really interesting. Yeah, sometimes when you look at the packages and there's so many words in there, and half of them you can't even pronounce. You're like, so that it's really important for us to pay attention to that. And also another thing that stood out is, sometimes we would go to the store, we get a pack of chips or whatever, before you know it, you're done eating the whole thing. Like you've already eaten 5 servings or 10
Yes.
servings. And I'm like, what? So that's important. Just eat 1 serving of that meal. So the next question is, we're concerned about hidden dangers in everyday food. So as I said, as we're all busy, sometimes we rely on, restaurants, takeouts, packaged food, prepackaged foods, and all that. What are some of the hidden food safety risks in these options? And how can we minimize our exposures to harmful additives and contaminants? Because we're going to the restaurants, we're packing all those TV dinners and things like that. What should we be worried about?
So recently I saw a social media skit or whatever it is. And I'm like, that's exactly what it is. It was somebody who ordered food online from those online delivery apps, and the delivery driver opened it up and had a few bites of it before he was delivering the food to
Oh my God, that's
customer.
crazy.
And it was not, it was, I think I saw it on one of the social media apps, and the customer, and the guy was doing it right in front of the customer's house. And the other guy had a camera, the ring camera. So the ring camera picked him up,
Caught
opened
it.
it up, and taking a bite of the wing, the chicken wings there. And it was so funny. You see, when we do these takeout, these restaurant things, the number one thing we always call out is food safety. Number one, the method of contamination. There was a video, actually, I saw it this week too. And the federal government is FDA is citing a restaurant, a popular restaurant, I think it's in Kansas or Arkansas. And early in the morning, they were outside and they were chopping meat on the bare floor of the restaurant. I have the video.
What?
They were chopping meat on the bare floor. And the argument was that the meat was too frozen and they couldn't do it inside. So they were doing it outside the restaurant and they were chopping meat on the floor,
Oh my
bread
God.
floor. So we talk about when you go to eat at restaurant and also at food safety, how clean are those restaurant back rooms? Yeah, we know they are regulated, we know they are inspected, we know they are audited. But in true cases, most of the time you know when they are coming. So you prepare for them. And after they go, what happened next? So what's the daily practices? So the first thing you always run on that is the possibility of cross-contamination in those restaurants. Then a lot of these restaurants out there, a lot of those foods, most of the time are frozen, thawed, and just microwaved or heated up for you to eat. Not a lot of them make food fresh because if they do that, they can't afford it. So a lot of them are prepared meals. So what's the chain of custody on those meals? How safe are they? And you look at those meals too. Because of shelf life, because of other things, a lot of chemicals and preservatives and additives have been added to those foods in the restaurants. So it is a little bit more appealing to you and they can get the value, shelf life, and the taste.
Mm.
So you want to be careful of those harmful additives that are in those foods. Then, like I talked, tampering. I think we all watched that movie. We had that guy who went to the bathroom, did not wash his hands, came back and served food in a restaurant. So those kind of things are the cautions that we always like to talk about when you eat out. It's all about the food safety and the composition of the food. Do we really know what made up that food? Do you know what is added into that food? I don't see anybody who goes to a restaurant and begins to ask for the ingredient deck. Probably not. If you do that, they look at you weird. Do you want to eat or not? You got to be careful and do your homework and know where to eat. There are some places I know personally that I will not eat at, but that's my own personal choice. That's an opinion. But others need to do the same. Look, research, find around. What are places that I can eat? What are places I cannot eat?
Mm.
Because I want to be sure that I'm getting food. You see, the issue of food safety transcends beyond just getting sick. It's about understanding the human health and know what's valuable to our head. What are the things we put in our mouths that are good? And what are the things that just have detrimental effects? Like we said, we have the chronic and we have the severe. I mean, sometimes you eat it, the consequences of the effects may not be now, it might take over time. So those are the kind of things we call out for restaurant meals or takeout meals or delivery meals.
Thank you for that. Oh my goodness. Just hearing that. I mean, that chopping meat on the floor, that is crazy. Hearing all this and you're like, do I really want to go to that restaurant? But at the end of the day, you just have to do your own research, do the own due diligence, and just, go to the restaurant that you feel like, is safe and clean so you can have your meal. So the next question is also in terms of food safety, but now we're taking it to our homes. As we said, many of us, we're trying to eat healthier, but we worry about foodborne illnesses. You hear in the news, E. coli, this contamination, that's contamination. Especially when I tell my clients to meal prep, for the week, do that on Sunday, meal prep for the week. So they're concerned about, bacteria and stuff growing. So what are some of the key food safety practices that they should follow to keep their meals fresh and safe?
I had a story recently with a friend close to my. We were talking together, and the person was going to have a meal, and there was a leftover, and just brought out of the refrigerator and started eating. And I said, "No, no, you can do that." Oh, I'm hungry. I said, "You have to heat this food to the right temperature, because in your refrigerator there could be microorganisms, and you have to just bring it out and heat it to the right temperature." So in the house, we are still prone to foodborne illness, like you said, if we don't follow right protocols and right etiquette. So one of the things that always ensures that when you have leftover foods, and a lot of foodborne illness in the house comes from leftover foods.
Mm.
So if you have leftover foods in the house, make sure when you put it in the microwave or you oven or what do you call it, the air dryer or whatever you use these days, make sure that you reheat them to the right temperatures. That's always my number one call out. That if you're going to have leftover meals in the house, then number two is the cleanliness of the homes. In biology, we'll say microorganisms are ubiquitous; they're everywhere. And the way microorganisms work is that they could be attached to anything, and they are inactive, but they are the right medium, they'll grow right back. So everywhere you are, there's these microbiomes. So what you need to do is to make sure that cleanliness at all time. Your kitchen where you make meals got to be clean. Do you know how many times you've had diarrhea, you've had food poisoning, you've had to go to the bathroom a few times, often and all, back to back? Those are all food poisonings. Those are all food related. It's something you consumed along the line, but it works differently because of human body. You and I can have the same contaminated food. I can have diarrhea, you may not.
Mm.
We
True.
know how those work. But for everybody, cleanliness in the bathrooms becomes important. I mean, another one I see all the time is even when people, it's apple, it's orange, it's all this. Always, no matter what, rinse your fruits and vegetables. Wash it under running water before you cut, before you peel, before you eat. Then separate out. A lot of people don't know that food has different temperature requirements. Some some could be shelf stable, some need refrigeration, some needs to be frozen. No matter what, irrespective of whatever that food's called, you have to store that product at the right temperature. So most of the time at home, people store food in the wrong temperature setting. So if you have your milk, it has to be refrigerated. Or if you have your meat, it has to be frozen. If you have your fruit, that could be either refrigerated or shelf stable. So depending on whatever it is. So some of the practices in the house, number one is cleanliness. Let your cleans be clean. Then make sure that you rinse your products before consumption, especially your fruits and vegetables. Then separate it out. Then all utensils you need to use, your knives, your boards, your bowls, your cutleries, whatever it is, has to be clean too. Then you cook to the right temperature. Then you separate out cooked versus uncooked food. Even in your refrigerator, uncooked foods will have microorganisms, salmonella, campylobacter, E. coli, whatever it is, versus your already cooked food. So if you have uncooked foods, you need to separate that even in your refrigerator. And lastly, have good again, portion control. Make sure that you don't overeat. I always talk about portion control. Overeating in the house is because you're in your house, then you live a sedentary life. Then at 9 p.m., like we do, we have that big bowl of ola ola pando at 9 p.m. You that thing, you just sit down on the couch, you Netflix a little bit, and you sleep there. That thing stays straight in your body, no activity outside to aid metabolism and have it digest and everything. So that's where your belly fat is coming from.
Mm-hmm. That's very important. Yep, yep, yep. That's it. That you just hit the points right there. That's great. So the next question is, there's a lot of myths out there. Social media, oh my God, drives us so crazy. This says you do this, do you that. TikTok, they're showing some random guy doing something crazy about food, on Instagram. So from your own perspective, so we're trying to debunk some of these myths. Myths of washing chicken before cooking, avoiding certain preservatives, or the fear of eating GMO. We always talk, oh, GMO, organic food, not organic, gluten-free, and all that. What are the biggest misconceptions about food safety, and what should we really focus on?
Okay, so I'm going to be those 3 or 4 myths you put together. I'll answer all of them, and I'll answer it based on science.
Okay.
Washing chicken before cooking, yes. You are not supposed to wash your cooked chicken before you cook.
Wow.
Chicken has salmonella and campylobacter given.
Mm.
And that's why you can eat your beef rare, medium rare, rare, whatever, but you cannot eat your chicken without being fully cooked. Because chicken, poultry product, is filled with microorganisms. If it is not fully cooked, you open up yourself to a lot of health implications. So, knowing that if you bring it to your house and you're washing, you stand the risk of splashing the water everywhere. By so doing that, you're transferring Campylobacter and Salmonella over your house. So the idea is that when you bring your chicken to your house, if it is caught already, just cook it right away. Now, given the opportunity to transfer Salmonella and Campylobacter. So yes, it is true. Washing chicken can spread bacteria to your sink, to your countertops, and other surfaces. So we always recommend that you cook chicken immediately to the right temperature to kill all the microorganisms before consumption. Then the myth of all preservatives are harmful and should be avoided. No, there are some preservatives that are actually good. Example is your vitamin C, ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is an additive and it is very good. It has health implications. Vitamin E, tocopherol, those are good additives because they have good confirmed scientific based health values. So what you need to do is to understand which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. Because when you talk about the bad ones, they just probably are not what we call, they don't have nutritive value, but sometimes they're also disease causing too, that are known to be non-carcinogen. In the state of California, they made a law some years ago, and we have a list of what we call a regulation we call the Prop 65. They have a lot of 65 ingredients that are known to be carcinogens, and the state of California has banned them from food. That we know that these ingredients are known, but in some other states they are allowed. So you need to find out and know those and avoid them. Then the myths of GMO sound safe. In the United States today, the consensus is that GMOs are safe to eat. There is no science that has linked anybody to death or chronic illnesses from GMO. No, in the US today. There is nobody that has died and they can automatically or naturally say that I died from GMO foods. So what are we talking about? Today in the US, and this is an open study, go do your research, independent research, 60 to 70% of all the foods in the United States today are GMOs, including your fruits and vegetables. They're already here. That is why America applied itself as a nation of food. So today, no scientific evidence has proved that GMOs are bad. GMOs are safe, but there are ways around it. And like I said, there are 3 things I always recommend people. Number 1, portion control, like we talked about. Number 2, dependence on a particular type of food. Some people love rice so much and they eat rice 3 to 3 times a day. Studies have shown us that the global population will eat rice. 10% of the global population will eat rice every day. Rice is the number 1 staple food in the world. And they eat rice every day. So dependence on a particular type of food is bad for you. And number 3, sedentary life. Exercising is no longer a thing of pride. It's now a need. Like I explained to you, you eat, you stay in the computer, you do anything, you're sedentary, you're limited. So making sure that you burn energy, you burn those calories becomes important for you. You don't let it sit in your body. What causes weight gain is the net in what you put in versus what you're putting out. So if you have net sitting too much in your body, that's what as precursors to these illnesses. So exercise, walk, run, jog, do some sit-ups in the house. Get a treadmill, run 20 minutes a day. Get a cycling bicycle in the house, cycle 20 hours every other day. So do some things to burn away some energy. Walk a mile up your hill in your neighborhood, walk a mile down back your hill, and do 2, 3 times a week. Just don't sit sedentary. Sedentary life is one of the good indicators of heart conditions, and they kill faster. So GMOs are not bad. Then the last one is the 5-second rule, that if my meat fall on the ground and I pick it up within 5 minutes, it's okay. No, microorganisms can act on it even just within that 1 second.
Hmm.
If it drops on the floor, just throw it away. The 5-second rule does not matter.
Thank you. Yeah, I still do. The 5-second rule. Yeah, a lot of us do that. Like it drops on the floor, like, okay, brush it off, But yeah, that's great that you pointed that out. So that's really good. Thank you for that information. The washing of the chicken, it's just, growing up, we get chicken, we wash, and it just becomes a habit. And even here, just being here for so many years, I just can't wrap my head around the fact that I can't wash my chicken, before cooking it. So it's, but I will work on that because now we have that science to back it up from a professional. So I'll go ahead and start doing that. So the last question for today that I have for you is, a lot of women and also men struggle with weight gain and fatigue and hormonal imbalance. From the food safety perspective and quality perspective, how can they ensure that their diet supports long-term health and prevents chronic diseases? I know you've mentioned some of it in the previous questions, but if you can just focus a little bit on it, that.
So let's go into health a little bit. For few of us that grew up back home, I never knew anything called food allergens until when I got into the industry. Back home in Nigeria, everybody ate anything, everything. We didn't have, I never knew anybody who had a food allergen until maybe the last 15 years when I personally met somebody, because we believe everybody ate anything. But studies have showed us today that 2 out of every 5 babies born at birth already have a food allergy.
Mm.
Go to hospitals. We have studies that showed us that 2 out of every 5 babies in America today have a food allergy at birth. And why? We know how it is in science and the nature of this food. So understanding the critical role that food nutrition plays is important. Yes, for women, I mean, women's health is a complex one vis-a-vis their nutrition. I mean, we talk about this hormonal imbalance, we talk about energy, we talk about fatigue and all these things. Then we talk about how the pregnancy cravings and all these things affect women. So that is why, number one, focusing on diet that helps women becomes important. Your protein-rich diet, your iron-rich diet, your meeting your RDV and your rack for fruits and vegetables that actually helps and count becomes important for you. How much of your grains, your legumes, your lentils do you take? Understanding that what do my health really need versus what do my mouth really want? Let's do that again. What does my health really need versus what does my mouth really want becomes key. Understanding that when you have those cravings, what health implication do you have on those food to your body? So understanding that nutrition goes beyond just what I want, but towards meeting specific dietary goals. Because as we age, you retain more like you did years ago. Metabolism begins to slow down. So you eat what you really need that will be beneficial to your health. Is it a 60-year-old man might not be able to tolerate alcohol the same way he did when he was 30. So when you talk about it, it's both ways too. So portion control, like I said, becomes important. Then careful selection. I mean, I'm a person of faith, and my faith tells me that all things are expedient, but not all things are necessary. The same thing is with food. All foods are available, but not all foods are good. Even as a person of faith, my faith tells me God told us you can eat everything, but these ones don't eat because He knew that. Just don't. Somebody asked me that if He told us don't eat, then why did He create it? I said, it has been shown to you, that Son of Man, what is good and what is bad. Pick for yourself. So when we talk about nutrition, we have everything. It's a matter of your personal choice to decide if what you're picking is what you want or what you really need.
Hmm. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that. So we don't have a lot of time, but there'll be room for questions. Now I'm going to stop recording. So thank you so much for, this great opportunity and this wealth of information. So I'm going to stop recording now, but we'll still stay on.